All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving deep into some fascinating stuff.
Oh, yeah,
The world of HSE.
definitely.
Specifically, we're looking at SMGT.
Okay.
They're a company operating in the UAE, and they've got this whole HSE management system manual.
It's impressive.
It's like their safety Bible, covering everything they do.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive.
You'll see how a company in a potentially risky industry tackles safety head on,
Absolutely.
from everyday stuff
Yeah.
to major emergencies.
All of it.
And what's cool is it's not just the surface level stuff.
It gets really in-depth.
It goes way beyond.
Yeah.
We're talking detailed procedures for everything.
For every scenario you can imagine.
How to handle tricky situations, like confined spaces, specific rules for tankers carrying flammable stuff,
Oh, yeah.
even the role of a banksman in guiding vehicles.
Which a lot of people might not even know about.
A banksman, I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, so
What
imagine
do they do?
a busy work site.
Okay,
Limited visibility.
got it.
That's where a banksman is crucial.
So they're like,
They're like the eyes for the driver
ah,
on the ground, guiding them.
so they prevent accidents.
Exactly. They're like a human safety radar.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Okay, so before we really get into the weeds, let's zoom out a bit.
Big picture.
What's SMGT's overall safety philosophy?
Well, you can tell.
Like, how do they approach it?
It's a part of their culture, you know.
Okay.
Their manual starts strong
Oh, yeah.
with a statement about their commitment to safety
Okay.
and environmental responsibility.
So they're not,
It's not just about avoiding accidents.
it's more than that.
It's about protecting people
Got it.
and the planet.
So are they constantly putting out fires?
No, not at all.
Or is it more about preventing them in the first place?
It's all about prevention.
Okay.
They're big on identifying hazards, assessing risks, and putting control measures in place.
So they're not waiting for something bad to happen.
Exactly.
They're trying to stop it before it even starts.
Exactly. That's the key.
That's smart.
Right.
But how do they actually put that into practice?
Well, rules are part of it.
Sure, there have to be some rules.
But what's interesting is their focus on employees.
Okay, so it's not just top down.
Not all.
They involve the employee.
They on training
Okay.
and supervision
They're empowered.
to be part of the safety solution.
That's cool.
It's a team effort, really.
I like that.
Yeah.
So they've got this big picture commitment,
Right.
but this manual,
Yeah.
it gets into some very specific procedures too.
Oh, it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Let's dive into some of those, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's start with confined spaces.
Okay.
Those areas.
Not designed for people to be in all the time. Yeah, yeah. Think tanks, like
Silos.
crawl spaces, that sort of thing.
Those can be really dangerous, can't they?
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of risks are we talking about there?
You're talking oxygen deficiency,
Oh, wow.
toxic gases,
Mm-hmm.
even explosions sometimes.
That's scary.
The manual, it really emphasizes how hazardous those are.
So does SMDT just, like, avoid those areas altogether?
They can't always avoid them,
Right.
but they have a very thorough approach.
Okay.
Strict procedures,
Like what?
atmospheric testing before entry,
That makes sense.
proper ventilation.
Oh, so you don't suffocate
Exactly.
Market.
Detailed rescue plans.
in case something goes wrong.
Exactly. They've got all the bases covered.
They're not messing around.
Not at all.
Okay, what about other potentially hazardous activities?
Sure.
Like hot work.
Hot work,
Yeah,
like welding and cutting,
yeah, that kind of stuff.
that has its own set of risks, for sure.
Right.
And the manual, it outlines a strict permit system for that.
A permit system.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just, like, grab a blowtorch
No, definitely not.
and then start welding.
You need authorization for sure.
What kind of things are included in this permit system?
So they got to isolate the area, check for flammable materials,
Makes sense.
have fire extinguishers ready,
Right.
specific guidelines even for fire hazards.
Wow, they really think it through.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
It's very layered.
So they're really planning ahead.
That's right.
Okay, but what about,
What about the less obvious stuff?
yeah, like manual handling? Yeah, it doesn't sound, you wouldn't think it's dangerous,
super dangerous, but it can be.
but I've heard it causes a lot of injuries
You're right.
in the workplace.
Back injuries,
Yeah.
strains,
Yeah.
sprains, they're no joke.
No, they're not.
And the manual really stresses proper lifting techniques,
Okay.
protective gear,
Mm-hmm.
using mechanical help whenever possible.
So you're not hurting yourself.
Exactly. Working smarter, not harder.
I like it.
Yeah.
I noticed they have a whole section about tankers.
Tankers?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Carrying flammable.
Flammable, right?
Or hazardous substances?
Mm-hmm.
What's different about those?
Those require extra caution, you're talking about.
Why?
Specially designed exhaust systems.
Okay.
So no sparks.
Oh.
Extra protection for the wiring.
Got it.
Even measures to control static electricity.
They really thought of everything.
It's all about preventing a big disaster.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really cool how they go beyond the basics.
Absolutely.
With every potential risk.
They don't leave anything to chance.
But what I also find interesting is that they don't just stop at preventing accidents.
That's right.
They also think about their employees' well-being.
Well, that's important.
Like the whole person.
Yeah.
Did you know they have standards for temporary accommodations?
Oh, yeah, they have.
Like how many people to hand washing stations?
Specific ratio.
Showers,
Yeah.
laundry facilities.
They want to make sure their people are well cared for.
So it's not just being safe on the job.
It's the whole picture.
It's about having a decent quality of life.
Absolutely.
While you're there.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
It is.
And it goes beyond just the employees too, right?
It does. It does.
They're also committed to the environment.
Absolutely.
They have a whole section on waste management.
Oh, yeah?
Minimizing waste. Responsibly disposing of hazardous materials.
They're serious about it.
So are they just following the bare minimum rules?
They go above and beyond, for sure.
What do they do?
They follow that waste management hierarchy.
Okay.
Avoid, reuse, recycle.
Right, right.
And they even have things for noise pollution.
Oh, wow.
Dust, emissions, all that.
Oh.
They have specific control measures, reporting procedures, all that.
So they're really walking the walk.
Oh, they are.
When it comes to environmental responsibility.
Definitely.
It seems like SMGT is super proactive.
Very much so.
About safety in the environment. But what happens if something does go wrong?
That's a good question.
Do they just try to forget about it?
No, they don't.
Or do they have a system to learn from those incidents?
That's where their reactive monitoring system comes in.
Oh.
They don't just sweep things under the rug.
They actually investigate.
They do. They have a detailed investigation system.
So they figure out what happened.
Exactly.
To learn from it.
So they can improve.
That's the goal.
That's really smart.
It's about constant improvement.
It's interesting to see how they use all that information to get better at safety.
They really are data-driven.
That's impressive.
It is.
Okay, so we're back.
Back at it.
And ready to go even deeper.
Deeper into the world of SMGT?
Into SMGT's safety world.
Yeah.
One thing that really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
Was this whole management of change procedure.
That's an important one.
What is that all about?
Well, it's about recognizing that things change.
Okay.
You know, operations change.
Right.
New equipment. Processes evolve. You can't just stay static. So you got to adapt.
Adapt, exactly.
They have a system.
SMGT has a system for that.
For making sure those changes are safe.
That any change is examined.
Right.
For its impact on safety.
And the environment.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about setting things up right initially.
It's about keeping it safe as things change.
That makes sense.
It's a continuous process.
So before they make a big change,
before any major change,
they do a safety review.
A thorough review.
Right.
They bring in the experts from
now,
all the relevant HSE fields.
So they're not just winging it.
No, they're very systematic about it.
So what are they looking at during these reviews?
Oh, a whole range of things.
Give me some examples.
Materials handling.
Okay.
Machinery.
Ergonomics, yeah.
Ventilation.
Try to make sure people can breathe.
Exactly.
Okay.
Noise, radiation.
Wow.
Even the use of chemicals.
So it's really a broad look.
It's holistic,
They're considering all sorts of things.
Yeah. They recognize hazards can come from anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't be too careful.
Can you...
Can I give you an example?
Yeah, like a real-world scenario.
Okay, so imagine they're bringing in a new piece of equipment.
Okay, a big machine.
Could be, yeah.
All right.
So they're going to assess it for hazards.
Like what kind of hazards?
Moving parts, sharp edges.
Okay, those make sense.
Noise levels, you know, all that.
You got to protect people's hearing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then they look at training.
For the people who are going to use it.
Exactly.
That's smart.
And modifications to the work environment.
To make it safe for that new machine.
Exactly. So they're anticipating problems.
Before they even happen.
That's right.
And having solutions.
Oh, ready to go.
That's really proactive.
It is. And it's not just about preventing immediate accidents.
Oh, okay.
They're thinking long term. Like they have guidelines for managing noise and vibration.
So people don't lose their hearing.
Exactly. Preventing long-term health issues.
That's really impressive.
It's about taking care of people.
Yeah.
In the long run.
It's not just getting through the day.
Right.
It's about their long-term health.
Exactly. It's a bigger picture.
They even think about things like lighting.
Lighting.
Ventilation.
To make sure the environment is comfortable.
So people are happy and healthy.
Absolutely. It all contributes.
Speaking of health,
Yeah.
they have a whole section on PPE.
PPE.
Personal protective equipment.
Oh, yeah. The classic hard hat.
Yeah, the hard hat.
Safety goggles.
Goggles.
Steel-toed boots.
Whole 9 yards.
They're serious about that.
I bet they are.
Oh, yeah. They have detailed guidelines.
For everything.
Everything. Selecting the right PPE.
Okay.
Using it properly. Maintaining it.
So it's not just having the gear.
It's about knowing how to use it.
And when to use it.
Exactly. And using it correctly.
Makes sense.
It's all there in the manual.
So it sounds like...
Like they have a real culture of safety.
Yeah.
Like it's ingrained in everything they do.
And we talked about this before.
Right.
It goes beyond just the physical stuff.
Absolutely.
Their focus on employee welfare.
They really go above and beyond.
Yeah, we talked about the temporary accommodations. But it seems like...
Goes deeper than that.
There's more to it.
Oh, yeah.
What else did they do?
They have a whole section on welfare facilities.
Okay.
Covering things like food safety.
Oh, okay.
Hygiene standards. Even access to medical services.
Wow.
They want to make sure their employees are taken care of.
So it's not just about ticking boxes.
No, it's not.
It's about actually caring for the people.
It's about creating a good environment.
Yeah.
Where people feel safe.
Respected.
Valued.
That's really cool.
It is.
And I imagine communication plays a big part in that.
Communication is key. Absolutely.
So everyone knows what's going on?
They have procedures for that, yeah.
What kind of procedures?
Making sure everyone's informed about hazards, safety procedures, emergency response plans, all that.
So it's not enough to just have the rules.
You got to make sure people know the rules.
And how do they do that?
They use signage, training programs, regular safety meetings.
Keep it top of mind.
Exactly. And they encourage reporting.
Oh, like if someone sees something unsafe.
Exactly. Unsafe conditions.
Or almost has an accident.
Near misses, yeah.
Okay.
So they can address those proactively.
So it's like...
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah.
Everyone contributes.
To making it safer.
That's the idea.
But how do they actually make sure everyone is following the rules?
Well, it's less about policing.
Okay.
And more about...
More about what?
A combination of proactive and reactive monitoring.
Okay, now break that down for me.
Okay, so proactive monitoring is about identifying those hazards.
Before they become a problem.
Exactly, before they cause an incident.
Okay.
So things like inspections.
Regular inspections.
Audits. Risk assessments, you know.
So you're constantly looking for things.
Staying ahead of the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then reactive monitoring.
Is that what happens after something goes wrong?
It's about learning from those incidents.
Okay.
They have a system for investigating, analyzing root causes.
So you understand why it happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then putting corrective actions in place.
So it doesn't happen again.
That's the goal.
So they're using incidents.
Even near misses.
As learning opportunities.
Exactly. Every incident is a chance to learn.
That's pretty impressive.
And they use data analysis to track trends, identify areas for improvement, measure their overall safety performance.
So they're really data-driven.
They are. They're using data to be proactive.
That's cool.
It is.
And all of this feeds into...
Feeds into what?
Their emergency response.
Oh, right. Emergencies.
What happens when things really go south?
Well, they don't just have plans.
They actually practice.
They test those plans regularly.
With drills.
Drills and exercises.
So everyone knows what to do.
If a real emergency happens...
That's smart. You don't want to be figuring it out.
No, you got to be prepared.
In the heat of the moment.
Absolutely.
So what kind of emergencies are they preparing for?
Oh, whole range of things.
Like what?
Fires. Oil spills, medical emergencies.
Makes sense.
Even security threats.
Wow, they've thought of everything.
They have procedures for everything. Evacuation, first aid, hazardous material containment, communication with emergency services.
They really have it all covered.
They try to be as prepared as possible.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
Do they have different safety guidelines?
Oh, that's a good question.
For different types of work environments?
You're thinking
like an office versus a construction site.
Exactly. The risks are different.
Yeah.
They have specific guidelines.
Tailored to each environment.
For different workplaces.
Okay, let's look at those.
Okay.
What about an office environment?
Office, yeah.
What are some of the key things they focus on there?
Well, in an office, it's about maintaining a clean workspace.
Okay, keeping it tidy.
organized,
Yeah.
using proper ergonomics.
So you don't get a repetitive strain injury.
Exactly. And making sure electrical equipment is used safely.
Even in an office, there are hazards.
Oh, there are. Absolutely.
You got to be careful.
You got to pay attention to those everyday risks.
Slips, trips, and falls.
Those are common in offices.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it.
But they happen.
What about workshops?
Workshops. Okay.
What are some of the unique hazards there?
Well, workshops have machinery.
Right.
So they focus on machine guarding.
Okay.
Safe use of tools and equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Proper handling of materials.
So you don't drop something on your foot.
Exactly. And good ventilation.
Yeah.
Dust control.
To protect people's lungs.
Exactly. It's all about respiratory health.
And then there are construction sites.
Construction, yeah.
Which are inherently more dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Than most places.
Construction sites are a whole other ballgame.
So how do they handle that?
Their manual goes into detail about procedures for working at heights.
Okay.
Using ladders safely.
Makes sense.
Excavating trenches.
Wrenches, yeah.
Managing traffic flow.
So no one gets run over.
Exactly. Even working in extreme weather.
Oh, right. Like the desert heat.
It can be brutal.
So they're really thinking about all those factors.
They're tailoring their procedures to the environment.
It's amazing how they've adapted.
It shows a real understanding of the risks.
And a commitment to mitigating them.
Absolutely.
It's not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
No, it's very specific.
And it goes beyond just the technical side of things.
It does.
They also recognize the human element.
The human factor.
What do you mean by the human factor?
It's about recognizing that people are involved in every aspect of safety.
Right.
Even with the best procedures.
Accidents can still happen.
If people aren't following the rules.
Or if they're not aware of the risks.
Exactly. So it's not just about the rules.
It's about changing behavior.
Creating a culture of safety.
So it's more than just telling people what to do.
It's about getting them to buy into it.
To really care about safety.
To make it a part of their everyday thinking.
That's interesting.
With a different approach.
So how do they do that?
They focus on training.
Okay.
Communication.
Mm-hmm.
Supervision.
To make sure everyone understands.
And is motivated to follow the procedures.
So they're not just robots following orders.
They want people to be engaged.
To think for themselves.
To be proactive.
And they recognize that people get tired.
Fatigue.
Yeah.
Stressed.
Stress is a big factor.
And sometimes they just get complacent.
Complacency can be dangerous.
You get used to things.
And you let your guard down.
And that's when accidents happen.
Exactly. So they try to address all of that. How do they do that?
They encourage breaks.
Okay.
Staying hydrated. Reporting concerns.
So if something doesn't feel right.
You speak up.
Okay.
And looking out for each other.
It's a team effort.
It is. They even have a system for recognizing safe behavior.
Oh, wow.
Rewarding people for doing the right thing.
So it's positive reinforcement.
Exactly. It helps build that positive safety culture.
It's really cool to see a company that takes this approach.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're really thinking about their people.
It's not just about the bottom line.
No, it's about creating a good place to work.
A place where people feel safe.
And valued.
And that all ties into their commitment to continuous improvement.
Continuous improvement, yeah.
This idea that safety is a journey.
Not a destination.
You're always getting better.
Always striving to improve.
So how do they do that?
They regularly review their procedures.
Oh.
They analyze incident data.
So they're learning from their mistakes.
Exactly. And they seek feedback.
From the employee.
From the people who are actually doing the work.
That makes sense.
They even encourage benchmarking.
Oh, wow.
Looking at what other companies are doing.
To see what works.
To learn from the best.
It's really impressive.
It is.
How much thought they put into this.
Their whole safety management system, it's very comprehensive.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's all documented in that manual.
This manual is like a treasure trove.
It is.
Of safety wisdom.
It's a testament to their dedication.
To creating a culture of safety.
Where everyone goes home safe.
At the end of the day.
That's the ultimate goal.
It's been really eye-opening.
It has.
To explore SMGT's world.
Through their manual.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
They've set a high standard.
They have.
For safety and responsibility.
It shows that safety is more than just compliance.
It's about creating a culture.
Where everyone thrives.
And that's a wrap.
Of our deep dive.
Into SMGT's world.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From specific procedures.
To the big picture. Their overall approach to safety.
And employee well-being.
But I have a feeling.
We think there's more.
There's still more to uncover.
Oh, there's always more.
In this treasure trove of safety wisdom.
You're right about that.
I can't wait to dive back in.
Well, hold on tight.
And see what other gems we can find.
We're about to explore some of the more unusual aspects of SMGT's system.
The quirky details.
The things that make you go,
I love it.
We'll be back
with the final part of our deep dive.
After a quick break.
Don't go anywhere. We're back and ready for the final stretch of our deep dive into SMGT's HSE Manual. We've seen how they handle the big picture stuff, safety, employee well-being. But I'm curious about some of those more, specific, almost quirky details. What really stood out to you?
Well, remember those banksmen we talked about?
The ones who guide the vehicles.
Yeah, you might think it's a simple job, but the manual really emphasizes how important they are and how much training they need.
Yeah, they're kind of like the unsung heroes of safety, making sure everything flows smoothly and preventing, those little fender benders that could turn into something worse.
Exactly. They need to assess risks on the fly, communicate clearly with drivers, and basically act as a human safety net.
So there's a real art to it.
Oh, absolutely. The manual even details the specific hand signals they use and highlights how important it is for everyone on site to understand that silent language of safety.
It's like their own secret code, keeping everyone in sync. What else caught your eye as we got deeper into this safety Bible?
Their section on driving and operating vehicles surprised me. You'd think it would be pretty straightforward, but they go into a crazy amount of detail.
Really? Like what?
Everything from pre-trip inspections and speed limits to the qualifications drivers need, and even restrictions on the types of vehicles allowed on site.
So it's not just about the big rigs and heavy equipment. They're thinking about all vehicles, even something as simple as a company car.
Right. And because they operate in the UAE, there are specific guidelines for four-wheel drive vehicles. Things like tire pressure, avoiding overloading, and the challenges of driving in soft sand. It shows they're really adapting their procedures to the environment.
It's like they've thought of every scenario.
They really have.
Did you come across any unusual safety procedures or equipment that you hadn't seen before?
One that stood out was their focus on static electricity control, particularly when handling flammable substances.
Oh, okay.
They talk about grounding straps, special footwear, and even clothing designed to prevent static buildup.
Wow, that's thinking ahead. I wouldn't have even thought of that as a potential risk.
It's easy to overlook, but a tiny spark can cause a huge problem. They even have specific requirements for the electrical systems in tankers carrying flammable liquids, like shielded wiring spark-proof components, even carefully placed air intakes to avoid drawing in flammable vapors.
Wow, that's attention to detail.
It's about analyzing every possible hazard, no matter how small.
And throughout the manual, there's this theme of personal responsibility. They're not just relying on rules and procedures. They want their employees to really own their safety and the safety of others. It's not just about blindly following orders.
It's about being proactive and looking out for each other.
Exactly.
They encourage people to speak up if they see something unsafe, ask questions if they're not sure about something, and never cut corners. It creates a culture where everyone is involved in keeping the workplace safe.
It's a team effort. And this commitment to continuous improvement that we talked about earlier, that really brings it all together, doesn't it?
It does. It shows they're always trying to do better, learn from their experiences, and raise the bar for safety.
It's been incredible to get this glimpse into SMGT's HSE world through their manual. It's really impressive. They've set a high standard, showing that safety isn't just about checking boxes. It's about creating a culture where everyone can thrive.
I couldn't agree more. It's a great example of how prioritizing safety and well-being can lead to a better workplace for everyone.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into SMGT's HSE Management System Manual. We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have. It's been a fascinating look at how one company is setting the standard for safety and responsibility.
Remember, safety is a journey we all share. Stay curious, stay informed, and above all, stay safe.